Is Neil Dunn here? Someone said he was going to be here. No? He was on my list today. You know, Neil Dunn is my congressman as the governor. It includes the governor's mansion, so I was going to ride him on doing some stuff for us if he was here. But it is really good. We've got a great group of folks here who've been so supportive of their community, and I'm glad to be back in Bay County. And as most of you know, I don't come to Bay County empty-handed very often, and so we're able to make another great announcement today. Dane Eagle, our executive director of our Department of Economic Opportunity, is here. When he became the executive director, I said, we want to get this long-term resiliency funding out to the Hurricane Michael affected communities as quickly as possible. It was a priority. Now, these are not immediate response funds. They are designed to take a little longer to go because these projects are a little longer lasting, but nevertheless we wanted to do. So today we're here to be able to announce more than $111 million in long-term disaster recovery awards to 22 Florida communities impacted by Hurricane Michael through the Rebuild Florida General Infrastructure Repair Program. So Rebuild Florida uses federal funding for Florida's long-term recovery efforts from the devastating impacts of natural disasters like Hurricane Michael. So we're here in Panama City Beach because of the $111 million, more than $21 million has been awarded to the city of Panama City Beach for infrastructure repairs. And Panama City Beach sustained beach erosion during Hurricane Michael. That's also, of course, facilitated flooding and during subsequent storms. Front Beach Road and the residential Lulwater community have been impacted the greatest by this erosion as it caused the blockage and submersion of outfalls responsible for transporting stormwater from the area. So this is something that will help us prepare for future storms and also reduce post-disaster costs and losses. So we've awarded more than $128 million to communities for the impacts of Hurricane Michael. More will come. Some of the other major awards, we've got City of Panama City, Panama City Project Restore for the Millville area, almost $19 million. We also have Town of Sneads, $5 million. City of Mariana for city wastewater, $11 million. Callaway, almost $3 million for lift station rehab. Chipley, almost $3 million for stormwater system restoration and flood resiliency improvement. Bay County, $1.3 million for Redwood Avenue drainage improvement. Apalachicola stormwater repair, $3.8 million. Mexico Beach, $5 million for beach renourishment. And City of Cottondale, $4.3 million. And Gulf County also got $7 million for water transmission booster station. And we also have Malone Fire Station, Lynn Haven, Port St. Joe lift station, almost $10 million. So this is a lot of stuff. I think it's going to make a big difference. And again, this is really Dane and really heeding our call to really start processing this. A lot of times it takes, actually, the norm is it takes longer than this. So, I know there's been a lot of attention. We've paid a lot of attention to this, and I've always said it's going to take a long time to kind of do this, and it is. But I do think Dane's done a good job of moving the ball forward. So thanks for doing that. I'll let him come up and say a few things.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and thank you to everyone behind us and in front of us who are joining us today for this monumental announcement. As the Governor said, $111 million for communities affected by Hurricane Michael and $21 million right here today to make sure that the erosion and the flooding is a thing of the past. So we are very excited to make that announcement. As the Governor mentioned in September when I joined, this was one of the biggest tasks he challenged me with. Get the money out the door. A month later in October, I was very happy to sign this agreement with then Secretary Carson under the Trump administration to draw down those funds from Washington. But just having those funds transfer from Washington to Tallahassee doesn't do any good for the community. It's our job to get it out into the hands of the taxpayers where it's going to do the most good. So here we are just a few short months later. We're announcing there's $111 million with the biggest chunk of it right here in Panama City Beach. So thank you to everyone behind us, the mayor for ordering this Chamber of Commerce Day, as you called it, beautiful and perfect, and Representative Trumbull for all he's done for us in Tallahassee. I had the chance to work with him for the past 6 years, and and now a year in this capacity, and he's done a remarkable job for our state and especially this community, and he's been the biggest advocate, bugging me constantly to make sure that we are focused on Hurricane Michael, and of course that was the governor's big promise when he started. So we were here just a few weeks ago announcing $5 million for workforce. We're here today announcing $111 million, and we've got another round to go, so stay tuned for that application opening. And currently we also have the Rebuild Florida program for housing replacement and repair. If you are a neighbor, a friend, a family are still recovering, and that's the idea of these funds, it's long term. We have 6 years to spend these funds, but here we are again a few months after we signed that agreement. You can go to rebuildflorida.gov where you can apply for the housing repair, and then you can learn more about the next round of infrastructure coming. But thank you to the governor for making this a priority, and thank you to all of you for making it happen today. Very much appreciated.
Great. And, you know, I look around and the state of Florida is really booming. And Northwest Florida has really helped lead the way. I mean, you know, last summer, that was one of the best summers that people had had. You had people coming because this is one of the few free states that was around. So I see cranes, I see different projects being done. You know, in other parts of the country, you see businesses shuttered. You see businesses that have been destroyed. You see a lot more people out of work. A lot of these big lockdown states have almost twice the unemployment rate. We're 4.7%. A lot of them are 7.5%, 8.5% unemployment. And that's with our cruise lines. The CDC has not let them go. We're suing CDC because we don't think that's acceptable. So that's a major industry in our state. And I think you see the health of the economy reflected in what we just did in terms of the budget. And so, you know, Jay Trumbull was a big part of that. I'll let him come up and say a few things. But you go back a year ago, people were predicting total catastrophe for our budget and for the economy in Florida and other places too, but they were saying Florida. They were predicting this massive shortfall. And you know what? We said we're going to have the state open. We're going to have the kids in school. We're going to do it right. And as we got into the summer, through the summer, I mean, I was very confident that we were going to bounce back. Not everyone was at the time. But then as we go through 2020 into 21, people started to see, they're like, you know, this is really something, the performance is really good. And so the budget that we just did, you know, that forecasted revenue and that forecast that was done, I think just a few weeks ago before the budget, already in April, we're $750 million more in collections than what they had forecast just 3 weeks ago for April. May and June, we think will obviously exceed expectations there. So we may have another $1 billion or $2 billion that's in the coffers that none of us even anticipated. Well, I anticipated it because I had confidence, but on paper it wasn't there, right? And so I think it shows you that we were able to handle this crisis in a way that not only has shown resilience, we're actually stronger from a budget perspective today than we were a year ago. And I think Jay would agree. Our budget, our rainy day fund, I never touched a penny of it during COVID. It's now almost twice the size of what it was before I became governor. And then you look at all the other things. You look at some of the things that we did in the budget in terms of supporting education, supporting infrastructure, supporting water quality and water resources. These are really, really significant things. And then, of course, we've done a lot of great legislation. I've already signed a number of bills. This morning I signed our election integrity and transparency bill, one of the best in the country. So we're really proud of that. We've also done bills, you know, all throughout today or all throughout this week. Early learning, very big thing, big reforms there. We're going to have some other stuff that we're going to be doing very soon. So there's an exciting time. I think there was a lot of good stuff that got done, but particularly from a budgetary perspective, you know, we got this federal money. We got like $2 to $3 billion of it just sitting there because, you know, we're in good shape, and that doesn't even count towards our reserves. We don't even count that. That's something totally different. We also have a new emergency response fund, $1 billion. So if you had something like Michael, we're immediately there being able to pay, and then we could get reimbursed later, but it's not even coming out of our general revenue anymore. We have that. So we've done a lot of really good things, and I want to thank the legislature, thank you know, Jay Trumbull for what he did in the House, and let him come up and say a few things.
Governor, I'm going to start calling you Santa Claus because every time you come to Bay County, you bring a little bit of money. So we really appreciate it. And you touched on it, but obviously coming off of Hurricane Michael, we had a tremendous uphill battle to overcome. And seeing what was coming down the pike as it related to COVID and the shutdowns, as far as those were concerned, we weren't sure how we were going to rebuild in a timely manner. But the fact that you opened up our state to allow tourism to come back to a place like Panama City Beach in Bay County and the rest of Northwest Florida helped us rebound so quickly, and for that we are very, very appreciative of it. These dollars that the governor talked about today under the leadership of Director Eagle are tremendously helpful in making sure that we get shovel-ready projects out of the ground and make sure that we can rebuild our infrastructure better. We talk about it very often. We want to rebuild after Hurricane Michael, not just like we were previous to Michael, but the community of the future. And resources like this will allow us that opportunity to do so. And I appreciate very much your office partnering with Northwest Florida, specifically Bay County, as we continue to rebuild after Michael and make sure that this is a place that looks drastically different in a much better way than it did October the 9th, 2018. So thank you for that, and we welcome you back anytime you'd like to bring a little extra money. So I appreciate it. And also, as you touched on the budget, thank you for being a partner. I know one thing that you talked about, I think it was even yesterday, $1,000 bonuses, not only for teachers, but $1,000 bonuses in the state budget for law enforcement officers, folks that were on the front line, every single day amidst the COVID pandemic. And for that, I appreciate your insight as we move through the budget process to make sure that we could get something like that done. So thank you again for being here, and you're welcome back anytime.
All right, we'll do it. The First Lady really loves Bay County too, and although we thought about maybe we could get a place in Bay. I don't know if it may be out of our price range now because everything's going so well, but we really and thanks to Jay Trumbull for supporting, and the legislature for supporting our bonuses for first responders. There's some that are trying to defund police. We're funding police and then doing bonuses on top of that, and fire and EMT, $1,000 a pop. It's going to be about 175,000 folks throughout the state of Florida that's going to get that once we sign the budget and get all the get everything in place. And so hopefully that'll go this summer. But I think it's well deserved, and I think that was a big win that we had during this legislative season. So I'm excited to be here. I really enjoy working with a lot of these folks here in the county. These are really, really hardworking people, and we're been very responsive. It's been something we've wanted to do since the time I became governor, and it's the right thing to do. And I don't need anything, but everyone in Bay County is so appreciative of what we've been able to help them with. And not that you need to be, but it's just, I think, a community that really cares for one another. And it's obvious that they've all pulled together to make sure that the county and really the surrounding area continues to recover strongly. But I really do believe that we're going in a really good direction here. I think this is one of the great places to be in our country right now, and I think we've been seeing that with the different traffic that's come through. So God bless everybody, and yes, we will be back. We'll see what we have in terms of the wallet then, but I'm sure we'll be able to rustle something up pretty good. I take a couple questions. No, I think so. I think resiliency is what it's all about. Obviously, there has to be repair when areas are damaged, but the more you can do to fortify against... Look, we're going to have more storms in Florida. That's just the reality. We all know that. We all prepare for it. And when you go through something like a Michael and you see a really catastrophic situation, you see kind of what could have been, what could be due to fortify. So I think it'll be really good. And it's interesting. This is Michael specific. We also did with the legislature, we launched a Resilient Florida fund, a program. We have $500 million, and now we have $20 million a year from the dock stamp tax revenue coming in every year now. So that's going to be hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars over the next few years. And those are specifically for projects to make sure in some of our vulnerable areas, particularly our coastal communities that are more prone to flooding, that they're able to, that we can support some infrastructure. And it'll be a collaboration. You know, we work with the city or the county and pool resources. But I think that that's something that's very, very positive. It's not something that the state of Florida had done previously.
Why did you only allow Fox News to capture moments in time and controversial elections?
So we did a wonderful bill signing for this great elections bill, and it was live on national television on Fox and Friends, and we were happy to give them the exclusive on that, and I think it went really, really well. But that's broadcast to millions of people, not just in obviously throughout the whole country, but a huge number of people in Florida are watching that. We had a crowd. We probably had 1,000 people in the crowd that were really cheering on. So it was an exciting day to be able to do that, and it's the first bill signing I've ever done live on a national broadcast, and so it was good. We also had a great visual aid that we were able to show, where we're showing all the great things that are in the bill, and you know, some of this stuff that was going on in other parts of the country, where you'd have these big private groups come in and spend hundreds of millions of dollars to run elections. That is unacceptable. We are not allowing that in Florida. We're going to make sure our elections are transparent and they're not being funded by special interests. We're also going to continue with voter ID, which is very, very important to make sure that you are who you say you are. And we're also going to make sure that we don't have ballot harvesting. Okay, it's not for some political operative to get a satchel full of votes and dump them off. You get the vote, you send it in, or you go vote in person. It's one thing to have a family member take, fine. But to have these paid operatives go out there and do it like they do in California and like they do in some of these other states, that's a big, big problem. You know, voting is supposed to be a secret ballot. You're supposed to go in, you have the booth and all this stuff, and then when you have ballot harvesting, you have people that are going around and messing around with other people's votes like that. I think it's terrible for our country. So Florida, we just said no, we're not going to do it. So I think it was a really positive day. We got a lot of great feedback on it, and we're proud that we were able to do it on national television. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.